didn't do any real like ahead of time research or anything for any of this stuff. Uh, this is all kind of off the cuff, off the hip. It's kind of how I did things yesterday. As I was going through everything yesterday, I learned a lot more than what I thought I had already seen. So, today going through the FEC's a statistical summary of the 21 month campaign activity in the 2023 2024 election cycles. I got some open secrets. I got Ballotpedia. Open secrets just for, just the different parties that ran in this past election cycle. I just want to get a good idea on the kind of money that came in and possibly see who's making the contributions. See how far into these packs we can go. So, first, I trust the things that the government says. And it's funny how when you read through these things, it's not like any of this stuff's hidden. They just tell you what's going on. All right, so let's start here. Federal Election Commission. It's the FEC. This is from their fucking website, okay? A statistical summary of the 21 month campaign activity of the 2023 to 2024 election cycle. Presidential candidates raised 1.6 billion and spent over 1.3 billion in the first 21 months of a 2023 to 2024 election cycle, according to campaign finance reports filed with the Federal Election Commission that cover activity from January 1st, 23 to September 30th, 24. So, like 3 days before the election, essentially. Congressional candidates collected 3.3 billion and dispersed 2.8 billion. That's collectively all congressional funds. Political parties received 2.1 billion and spent 1.8 billion, and political action committees raised 12.3 billion and spent 10.9 billion dollars. According to campaign finance reports filed with the Federal Election Commission that cover activity from the January 1st of 23 to September 30th of 24, disbursements for independent expenditures and electioneering communications reported in this period totaling 2.2 billion and 7 million respectively. Communication costs reported to the commission totaled $11 million, 11.3. Activity from the 1st of January through September 30th. Note, these figures are in millions. So if there was a 1 on this side of the decimal, that would be $1 million. So, when it comes to presidential candidates, collectively, all of them, they made $1.626 billion and they dispersed 1.323, which means there was $300 million brought in that was not spent. That's overhead. That's marketing. Congressional candidates brought in $3,273,000,000 and put out $2,771,000,000. That's a net profit of $500 million. Party committees brought in $2,101,000,000 and dispersed $1,800,000. A net profit of $300 million. Now here's the big goof. Political action committees, $12,250,000,000, dispersed $10,903,000,000. That's a profit of $1.4 billion. Over $1.4 billion. 1.3. No. Yes. Sorry. $1.3 billion. That's a heavy profit. Independent expenditures for communications filings, $2,196,000,000. Electioneering communications, $7 million. Communication cost, $11.3 million. This summary of campaign activity in the 2023 to 2024 election cycle provides a benchmark for comparison with the same reporting period in other cycles. Supporting data tables are linked at the end of each summary section below. Presidential candidates. As of September 30th, 2024, 107 individuals had filed campaign finance reports disclosing financial activity in connection with the 2024 presidential election. These candidates reported raising $1.6 billion and spending more than $1.3 billion from January 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024. Their combined cash on hand was $328 million, while their combined debt was $51 million as of September 30th, 2024. So it'd be interesting for someone to explain to me how there was over $300 million in profit from what was dispersed to what was brought in, and there was a debt of $51 million. Data summary tables for reports submitted to the Commission through September 30th, 2024 by 2024 presidential candidate committees can be found here. Okay, data summary tables. Let's pull these up. Presidential campaign receipts. All right, so this is statistical summary press release 2023, 2024, 24-month data covering the 1st of January through, so this is covering everything up until the end of last year. It doesn't cut off at the end of September. If you hear some munching sounds, that's Charlie. Okay. So, why was Mike Pence given $1.5 million in federal funds? This is a very recent table, too. They just released this. This table was generated on not very recently, I suppose. It's like 2-some months ago. That's still pretty fucking recent, though. Okay. So, presidential campaign receipts through December 31st, 2024. Contributions from individuals. See, this is weird to me. Mike Pence got $1.5 million in federal funds for his campaign. That's so crazy. All right, so Ryan Binkley, under $400,000. Doug Burgum, over $3 million. Chris Christie, almost $7.5 million. Oh, hold on. Ron DeSantis, over $33 million. Larry Elder, $1.3 million. Nikki Haley, almost $47 million. William Hurd, may have to take a call and get away from this here, but William Hurd, 1.4 million. Asa Hutchinson, 1.3 million. Mike Pence, so he got $1.5 million in federal funds, which is taxpayers' dollars, and he also got $5.5 million from individuals. Vivek Ramaswamy, over 11 million. Tim Scott, over 9 million. Francis Juarez, $1.5 million. Trump, 68.5 mil. Other Republican candidates, there were 29, totaling 851,998. Okay. Democrats, on the other hand, contributions from individuals. Kamala Harris, $613.5 million. Dean Phillips, 1.7. Cenk Uygur, $500,000. Marianne Williamson, 4.2. It's really interesting how. Here's the thing that doesn't track for me, right? So, Kamala Harris got over $500 million from individuals, which would be the voting bloc, right? That's what you'd expect. But yet, and that's compared to $68 million that Trump got, and yet he won the popular vote. Oh, hold on, I gotta take this call. Okay, sorry. That was Rob Noor, Normal America with Rob Noor. Let me go ahead and pull his channel up real quick. Uh, to anybody watching, this man is an absolute legend. Highly recommend his channel. Really, really good guy. Very good guy. So anyway, back to what we were talking about before. So it is interesting to me that the people who contributed to Kamala Harris contributed nearly 10 times as much as Donald Trump, and yet he still won the popular vote. Where did this money come from? It's my only question. Total amount of money from Kamala Harris was 1.1, almost 1.2 bill, right? Donald Trump, $474 million. This is just a spreadsheet on what they actually made. The total amount of money that was generated through this last election cycle was $2,012,000,000. Okay, so that is the data summary table for all of the money reported to the FEC during this last campaign year. Congressional candidates. United States House and Senate candidates running in the 2024 election cycle reported raising a total of $3.3 billion and spending $2.8 billion between the January 1st, 23 and September 30th of 24. Candidates for the two chambers reported combined total debts of $471 million and combined total cash on hand of almost $1 billion. So combined total cash on hand was almost $1 billion between January 1st of 23 and the end of September, right before the election. The following table summarizes campaign finance activity of House and Senate candidates. So this is House and Senate, right? So we're talking, what, 500-600 people, and how much money they brought in. It's a lot of it's a lot of people. It's a lot of money. I get it. There's gonna have to be money funneled into these things for these candidates. Now we'll go through this again, right? Oh my, these figures blow my fucking mind, man. Like, so for this last election, there was the fourth least amount of candidates in the election cycle for midterms and presidential, right? Like, we're talking all of them. So this is a 6-year period. And it raised the most money. $3.273 billion. These figures are just crazy to me, man. Okay. This includes activity from January 1st of the pre-election year through September 30th of the election year. This is over a span of time. Understandable. The 261 candidates running for Senate in 2023 to 2024 reported total receipt of $1.2 billion, disbursements of $1.1 billion, debts of $206 million, and cash on hand of $237 million. The 1,875 candidates running for the House reported combined total of $2 billion, disbursements of $1.6 billion, debts of $265 million, and cash on hand of $747 million in the 21-month period. In addition to the 2024 primary and general elections, these numbers encompass financial activity associated with the 2023 and 2024 special elections for California's 20th Congressional District, California's Senate seat, Colorado's 4th Congressional District, New Jersey's 10th Congressional District, New York's 3rd and 26th Congressional Districts. Okay, so there were special elections that pack money into these totals as well, right? The political party committees. So this is the RNC, the DNC, the Democratic Senatorial, DSCC, DCCC. Okay, so these are the party committees for not only the presidential races, but also the Senate and the House races. Got it. Just more money, all figures in millions. The DNC, they made roughly $120 million more than the RNC. Now, the senatorial did less for the Democrats, but the congressional did more. Yes, congressional did more than the Republicans. Okay. The totals in this line may not equal the sum of numbers in the corresponding columns, as the receipts and disbursements have been adjusted to account for transfers between party committees, and the numbers have been rounded. Okay, so these don't all include money bouncing around between different committees to help them finance certain whatever, you know. Other party committees include the Libertarian National Committee, National Congressional, Green Party, Green Senatorial, Constitution Party, National Committee, and the Reform Party. Individuals for whom contributions to national parties were limited to $41,300 per year during the 2023 and 2024 election cycle were the largest source of federal funds for party committees' traditional accounts. Democratic and Republican Party committees reported receiving $571 million and $443 million respectively. From individuals, PACs and other political committees contributed $78.2 million to Democratic Party committees and $89.6 million to Republican Party committees as of September 30th, 2024. Okay, so from what it looks like, the Republican Party was supported heavier by the political action committees and other political committees than the Democrats were, right? That's what it's showing here. Democratic and Republican House candidate committees transferred $42.7 million and $34.5 million respectively from their campaign accounts to their national congressional party committees. Okay, so the committees for each individual candidate moved this amount. So Democratic 42.7, Republican 34.5 from their campaign accounts to the national congressional party committees. Democratic Senate candidate committees transferred $3.7 million to the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, and Republicans transferred $4.9 million. Provisions of the Consolidated and Further Continuing Appropriations Act 2015, signed into law in December 2014, enable national party committees to establish accounts to defray certain expenses incurred with respect to presidential nominating conventions, national party headquarters buildings, and election recounts and contests and other legal proceedings. The segregated party accounts of national party committees reported receiving $304 million between January 1st, 2023 and September 30th, 2024. Of that total, the Democratic National Party Committee segregated party accounts received $129.4 million, while the corresponding Republican National Party Committee accounts received $174.4 million. Recount accounts reported that the highest receipt total across all segregated party accounts, $138.4 million. New headquarters and convention accounts raised $130 million and $35 million respectively through September 30th of 2024. Data summary tables submitted by political party committees to the commission through September 30th, 2024 can be found here. Well, let's take a look-see. That's a lot of PDFs. I'm not going to go through all that. Federal financial activity of all party committees. Okay, we can just look at this one because it seems like these are breakdowns of all the different sections, and this is just one. So we'll take a look at this. I mean, these amounts of money are fucking crazy to me, dude. It genuinely blows my mind how much money is run through, and this is all campaign contributions, right? Like, where does this money come from? That's my only question. Genuinely. Based on reports filed with the Commission from January 1st, 2023 through September 30th of 2024, 8,972 federal PACs reported total receipts of 12.3 billion, disbursements of 10.9 billion, debts of 55.4 million, and a combined cash on hand of 2.6 billion dollars. The following table summarizes campaign finance activities of PACs based on PAC type in 2023 to 2024. This table includes both separate segregated funds, which have connected organizations such as corporations or labor organizations that establish, administer, or raise money on their behalf, and non-connected committees. Figures in millions. What are separate segregated funds? Ah, okay, so SSFs are PACs. So that's the PAC money. They're financial entities established by corporations or labor organizations to support political candidates or causes. Federal election law requires that these funds be kept separate from the general funds of the connected organization. Hence the name Separate Segregated Fund. SSFs can raise voluntary contributions from a limited group of individuals within the connected organization, such as employees or shareholders. Isn't that interesting? Key features of separate segregated funds. SSFs are created and maintained by corporations or labor organizations. Separation of funds. Monies contributed to an SSF is held in a separate bank account from the general funds of the connected organization. See, and that's why, back during the election, and we're going to go through this, back during the election, the highest contributor to Kamala Harris's campaign was Future Forward America. Or Future Forward USA. That's not the case anymore. Voluntary contributions. SSFs can only solicit contributions from a restricted class of individuals, usually employees or members of the connected organization, or these contributions must be voluntary. So you just can't forcibly take the money from people. That's all it's really saying there. Like, that makes sense. Okay, so we don't need to really look into it. Separate segregated funds are also known as political action committees. So, PAC activity. There are 1,659 PACs, corporate PACs. And there were 81, but it's the corporations that don't have stock. and this is $342 million dollars. Disbursements, interesting, $353 million. So how do they have cash on hand then when they overspent their budget by $10 million fucking dollars? Independent expenditure only political committees, $3.75 billion. Committees with non-contribution accounts, $6.26 billion. So yes, there was $12,250,000,000 run through almost 9,000 political action committees. The money paid out from that was about $1.35 billion. That's how much was made in overhead. Non-connected committees include independent expenditure-only political action committees. Blah, 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 blah. So what does that mean? An independent expenditure-only political committee. Political. Okay, so what is an independent expenditure? An independent expenditure is an expenditure for a communication that expressly advocates the election or defeat of a clearly identified candidate and which is not made in coordination with any candidate or their campaign or political party. Fat fucking chance, okay? Independent expenditures are not subject to any amount limitations. Maybe like this is contractual shit, right? So like legalese. So if it is not expressly made with made in coordination with the candidate or their campaign or political party, but the people who are donating the money have an agenda behind the money, it's okay. The independent expenditures are not subject to any amount limitations, but may be subject to reporting requirements. The campaign of a candidate benefiting from an independent expenditure has no reporting obligation. Oh, isn't that fucking interesting? Yeah. Campaign staff should pay special attention to the page on coordinated communications, which explains when the independence of an expenditure is compromised through contact with a campaign and thus results in an in-kind contribution subject to contribution limits to the campaign. If a corporation or labor organization funds the coordinated expenditure, it results in a prohibited contribution. Okay, so they can be subject to some form of retribution or recourse if before they make any kind of contribution there's been some form of contact with the campaign. Interesting. Okay. And then what's a committee with a non-contribution account? A carry committee, okay, is a type of political committee with a non-contribution account. This structure allows them to operate with both a traditional PAC account and a separate non-contribution account. Okay, so a contribution account. This account is subject to standard federal campaign finance regulations, including contribution limits and source restrictions for making contributions to federal candidates. A non-contribution account. This account can accept unlimited contributions from individuals, corporations, labor organizations, or other political committees. These funds are used to finance independent expenditures, other ads that refer to federal candidates, and generic voter drives in federal elections. So wait. Is that where most of the money's going through then? These non-contribution accounts? Because independent expenditures. So wait. I understand there's a distinction there somewhere, but I just need to wrap my head around this real quick. Okay, hold on. Independent expenditure. Only political. Yeah. Okay, let's pull this up one more time. All right. So independent expenditures. Independent expenditures are subject to things not being discussed with the party or candidate that's being contributed to. But they can utilize this money to pay for ads, voter drives, and other things that benefit the candidate. So if it's not, if there's a distinction between finance or independent expenditures and then them paying for things on the, like, during the campaign, is it okay for them to go through these, like, to pay for these things with communication with the candidate political party? Because there's a distinction here, right? Anyway, contributions by PACs to federal candidates seeking office in the 2023 to 2024 election cycle totaled approximately $420 million as of September 30th, 2024. PAC contributions to Senate and House candidates totaled $55.9 million and $363.6 million, respectively. Contributions by PACs to the 2024 presidential candidates totaled $1.2 million as of September 30th, 2024. Independent expenditure-only political committees are prohibited from making contributions to candidates. Data summary tables for reports submitted by PACs to the commission until right before the election can be found here. Okay, let's see. PAC financial activity. Almost $16 billion fucking dollars. And after disbursements, there's still $220 million left over. Independent expenditures. Independent expenditures reported by the Commission through September 30th of 24 in connection with presidential and congressional elections in the 23 to 24 election cycle totaled $2.2 billion. Independent expenditure-only political committees accounted for $1.5 billion of all independent expenditures disclosed in the Commission. And that's just what was disclosed to the Commission. Committees with non-contribution accounts reported $552 million, and other PACs reported $31.6 million. Party committees reported independent expenditures totaling $117 million, and independent expenditures made by persons other than political committees totaled $33.8 million. Data summary tables for independent expenditure filings submitted to the Commission through September 30th of 24 can be found here. Those numbers just make me sick. I really can't. I can't look. I just can't do it anymore. Like, looking through it is fucking crazy to me, dude. All right. Electioneering communications. Electioneering communication filings totaled 7 million. An electioneering communication is a broadcast, cable, or satellite communication that refers to a clearly identified federal candidate and is distributed within 30 days prior to a primary election or within 60 days prior to a general election. These communications do not expressly advocate the election or defeat of a federal candidate. So is this just like, you know, I'm Donald Trump, I'm Kamala Harris, I approve of this message? Is that what that is? Because it's referring to them, but not necessarily saying you need to vote for this person. Which they can still advocate for it, but not expressly, right? Communication costs. A provision of the Federal Election Campaign Act of 1971, as amended, allows corporations and labor organizations to communicate to a restricted class of individuals on any subject, including express advocacy to the election or defeat of any federal candidate. The cost of such communications must be reported to the Commission when the cost exceeds $2,000 per election, but are not considered independent expenditures. This provision of the Act predates the Supreme Court decision, the Citizens United versus FEC, which struck down the ban on independent expenditures in electioneering communications financed by the general treasuries of corporations and labor unions. Well, I mean, of course they did, right? Like, so the Supreme Court smacked down the ban on dickloads of money being pumped into our elections every, couple years. The Commission received 46 such filings during the reporting period, disclosing spending of $11.3 million in costs for communications to organizations restricted classes between January 1st at 2023 and September 30th, 2024. The data summary of the communications cost filing submitted to the Commission can be found here. Okay. These numbers make me sick, bro. It's crazy. So the super PACs, which are the expenditure-only political committees, which can't give money if they've had communication with the candidate, dispersed over $5 billion into this last election cycle. Hybrid PACs, over $8 billion. For a grand total of almost $16 billion fucking dollars going through our election cycle. Open secrets, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh God, these numbers make me fucking sick. Actually, no. Let's look through Ballotpedia. Okay, we'll look through Ballotpedia, and then we're gonna go down the rabbit hole. So, Presidential Election Campaign Finance 2024. Every presidential candidate is required to register with the Federal Election Commission and file regular financial reports detailing their fundraising and campaign spending. During presidential election years, candidates who anticipate that they will raise or spend more than $100,000 must file monthly reports. Candidates who anticipate that they will raise and spend less than $100,000 file on a quarterly schedule, as do all presidential candidates during non-presidential election years. This page covers raising and spending in the 2024 presidential election cycle. Nobody's throwing any fucking shit at Ballotpedia. Note, Joe Biden's principal campaign committee became Vice President Kamala Harris's principal campaign committee on July 1st, 2024. So, between July 1st, right? Is that what that said? 21st. Between July 21st and the year end, how was money still coming in? Pre-general, which means before the election, to after the election, another $160 million was raised. And then money was still coming in, almost another $20 million. Look at this. What a drastic change, dude. I mean, they raised that $1 billion in just a few months. In just a few months. The following chart displays noteworthy general election presidential candidates' overall spending over time. Note that the chart only displays data for principal campaign committees, not candidate-affiliated PACs or joint. Okay, so this only displays the data for principal campaign committees, not candidate-affiliated PACs or joint fundraising committees. So this is just the spending for the principal campaign committees. And it's almost $1.2 billion. What about the candidate-affiliated PACs? What about the joint fundraising committees? Huh. They spent every fucking dollar. The following chart displays cash on hand, a measurement of how much money a campaign has currently available in its campaign accounts. For noteworthy general election presidential candidates as of each reporting deadline during the 2024 campaign cycle. Note that the chart only displays data for principal campaign committees. Again, this is just showing us what the principal campaign committees. It's just showing us their data. It's not showing the data from these candidate affiliate PACs. It's not showing the data from these joint fundraising committees. It is just showing us one piece of this puzzle. Okay? Just for instance. So like, all right, who is this? RFK. $10 million at one point he had in his campaign accounts, which 10 million is a lot of money. Okay. Trump at one point had $151 million collectively in his campaign accounts. And this is the data, only the data of the principal campaign committees. Spent a good bit of it. It was obviously money well spent. Kamala Harris, who, when, because I'm sure this dotted line is when Joe Biden dropped out. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, July 2024. Okay. Almost $96 million in the account. And then, within a month, over $100 million. And a month later, another almost $20 million. And from September until November, they just fucking spent and spent and spent and spent until they only had like $2 million collectively in their accounts. They spent every fucking dime, dude. Response to Biden-Harris Principal Campaign Committee transfer. Following President Joe Biden's withdrawal from the presidential race on July 21st, 2024, the campaign transferred ownership of Biden's Principal Campaign Committee to Vice President Kamala Harris, who was previously designated as one of the committee's authorizing candidates as Biden's running mate. Former President Trump's campaign filed a complaint with the Federal Election Commission over the transfer, saying Kamala Harris is seeking to perpetrate a $91.5 million heist of Joe Biden's leftover campaign cash, a brazen money grab that would constitute the largest single excessive contribution and biggest violation in the history of the FEC Act of 1971 as amended. That's a pretty big fucking transfer, dude. Like, I guess this was when he dropped out. I don't know. But almost $100 million. They just gave it from one candidate to another. A candidate that wasn't elected. They said, this old crotchety fuck, he can't run the country. He's going to lose this election. We need to get this money into her pocket. Or at least her fucking, electioneers' pockets. Harris campaign spokesman Charles Lutvak said Republicans may be jealous that Democrats are energized to defeat Donald Trump and his MAGA allies, but baseless legal claims like the ones they've made for years to try and suppress votes and steal elections, shut the fuck up, will only distract them while we sign up volunteers, talk to voters, and win this election. Volunteers. I wonder how much money they paid these volunteers. And if they didn't, what the fuck did you spend this money on? Republican FEC Chairman Sean Cooksey said, "I think it's really complicated is the short answer. What he's attempting to do is to give his entire committee the cash and all the assets over to another person. I think it's going to have to go through a process through the FEC. I expect there's going to be challenges to that at the agency and probably in the courts as well." The Democratic FEC Commissioner Dara Lindenbaum said it's quite clear Vice President Harris can continue using the campaign committees and his funds. Former Republican FEC Commissioner and a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Hans von Spakovsky, wrote an op-ed for Fox News saying Harris could use the Biden campaign funds because when the Biden for President Committee filed its registration statement with the FEC, it registered itself as the principal campaign committee for both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Hold on. When did Biden for President Committee register? All right. So was this their registration in April of 2023? Because that's when the campaign contributions took off. And it's when he announced, right? He announced he was going to rerun in April of 2023. Yes. All right, so it's just interesting to me how when Biden for president filed its registration, it registered itself as the principal campaign committee for not just Joe Biden, but they did it for Kamala Harris as well. Isn't that interesting? Pretty fucking. That's a coinky dink right there. In this section, you'll find fundraising comparisons for candidates and committees in the 08, 12, 16, 20, 24 campaign cycles. This section looks at fundraising over each 4-year presidential cycle. So year one refers to the year. Okay, so these are all. Huh. Wild. See that right there. I mean, there's an element of this, okay, that that makes me happy because okay, look, Obama raised a shitload of money, right? In 2008, raised over $1 billion. In 2012, raised almost $1 billion, right? He definitely lost some support. Um, when that was the first election that I could actually vote in, and I voted for Obama. And the reason I voted for Obama was because I voted with the hope that something just hung him up in his first term, and that he was actually going to like do things for the general public, and that did not work. Okay, Trump 2016, not even $400 million, and he won. Okay, Trump 2020, almost $1 billion and lost. Trump 2024, less than $500 million and won the fucking popular vote. Biden, over $1 billion. No, that's Obama, sorry. Biden, $1.16 billion, won. Harris, almost $1.2 billion. Very fucking close. Lost the popular vote. There is, to me, there's something very good about that. And the good thing with that solely means that corporate interests and how much money they shell into an election does not determine the outcome. Every cloud has a silver lining, okay? Jeez, these numbers make me sick, bro. It's fucking crazy, dude. Oh god. Look at that waste. Look at that, the amount of money. And that is cash on hand is a dollar amount within bank accounts. They spent 230, let's say $230 million just to be safe, right? It's more than that, but just to be safe. $230 million. What could you do to help people in this country with that money? Those dollars, not assets, not, that's the amount of money in the fucking bank accounts. And you lit it on fire. What'd you use the money on, Kamala? Was it worth it? Was it? That's my question. Because seriously, and I'll just touch back on, a previous point that I've made, and I stick by this. How many fucking people could you have helped with that amount of money? And then fucking ran on what you were doing with that money? How many lower class people could you have paid their student loans off? Help them get medical care. You talk about equity. You talk about everyone having a chance. You know who had the chance? You did. You had the chance to do something for people and show that you weren't just a do-nothing face made of sound bites. You didn't even have to change the way you were. If you were just a goofy bitch, but you did a bunch of really good things for people with this money that you fucking wasted, it would have gone a lot farther. See, people are a lot more, they're much more willing to put up with goofiness. I mean, no one can say she was not goofy as hell. I mean, she was a goofy candidate. Incredibly unpopular, terrible communication strategy. But people can look over that when you fulfill the principles that you stand on and the hills that you die on, if you back that up with action, that goes a hell of a long farther way than just talking about it. It goes a lot farther than what I'm guessing you spent this money on was the big rallies that you held. What I'm guessing you spent this money on was dinners with these massive fucking corporate boards, right? What I'm guessing you spent this money on was TV advertisements. What I'm guessing you spent this money on was setting up fake sets for podcasters to come to you and do their podcast in a replica studio. Because I don't care how bad of an alcoholic you are, Kamala. You're not drinking $230 million of liquor. Or wine. Pretty hard to fucking do that. Doesn't matter what you're drinking. To lose. party committees and incumbent presidents. The following chart compares combined fundraising figures for the RNC and Donald Trump during the 2020 campaign cycle with those for the DNC and in the 2024 campaign cycle. Okay, so these both relatively match up, right? So they both they both raised over $2 billion. Reporting deadlines. Every presidential candidate is required to register with the FEC and report, yada yada yada. So they reported their end year, which was November 24 to December 31 of last year. They reported that by January 31st. These are their quarterly reporting schedules. This is the primary. I mean, he really didn't have to raise that much money. He didn't have any competition. Ooh, primary cash on hand. Okay, so this was the money that they were vying for. The cash on hand, because this just ends in April 2024. The cash on hand that was in the bank accounts is what they were vying for, which, you know, this is an opinion. Call me a conspiracy theorist, whatever. They knew that dude was brain dead. We all fucking did. Like, do you know how many people I'm talking before the debate, that I know? I'm in the Birmingham restaurant scene, okay? I work food service. I do logistics at home. It's a very left-leaning industry around here, okay? Which everyone has their own, you know, views and opinions, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. But even people who were still going to vote for him, it's these people who they'd vote for a corpse over a living person as president, like absolute fucking lunatics. But even they knew that he was out of his fucking mind. I mean, I'm talking 2023 going into 2024. That was before they started implementing Trump's old policies to help the economy get better, you know? When they registered and they registered Kamala Harris and Joe Biden under the Biden for President committee. Let's look into this. Hold on. I want to make sure before I say anything that I don't fucking know. When a primary political committee registers there's party committee, that's right. Oh, isn't that fucking interesting? Here. Qualifying as a multi-candidate committee. So, this is the AI overview. Generally, under the Federal Election Campaign Act, each candidate for federal office must establish their own principal campaign committee. Their own. This principal campaign committee handles the candidate's campaign finances, including taking into contributions and making expenditures. However, The regulations do allow for 2 or more candidates to designate a political committee established solely for the purpose of joint fundraising by such candidates as an authorized committee. This type of committee is often referred to as Joint Fundraising Committee. The JFC also, that's ironic that that's the acronym for it. The JFC allows candidates, PACs, and or political committees to coordinate their fundraising efforts. Right? Okay, I understand that there's methods for them doing this. I wish there was a way to look at how many times has this been done? Is this common? If not, why the fuck did they do it this time? Were they saving their asses because they knew he was not going to run for president? If that is the case, they had to know he was not capable. They knew it. They knew it the whole fucking time. When they registered him, to run again. They covered their ass. They covered their ass. They knew it. Why else would they do that? Because the only reason for them to register one political committee for 2 separate candidates is because they were well aware, and I'm speculating, but I don't feel like I'm far off base here. They were well aware that this money was not going to be used for just Joe Biden. Otherwise, why the fuck else would they do this? All right. Democratic primary financial overview. The following charts display noteworthy Democratic primary candidates' overall fundraising through the April 2024 monthly campaign finance reports. Notice that the chart only displays data for principal campaign committees, not candidate-affiliated PACs or joint fundraising committees. The charts below, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, these charts, I mean, it's, so for here, it is just going into the money that was put up for the primaries, which, I mean, my guy couldn't even run. He couldn't debate. He couldn't do anything. If you want to talk about a referendum on the current party in power, the last guy didn't debate once in the primary and won all of them. He spanked Miss Haley. Okay. All right, that's the end of the Ballotpedia. Think we can find some good stuff here. Okay. So I brought this up. Kind of makes sense. This is just Joe Biden's 2024 election campaign stuff. This is from what he was donated to by Granite for America. Now, this does not go to the Biden for President committee because that was changed over to Harris for President committee. They raised and spent $2.03 million. Raised and spent $358.86 Raised and spent 168.25. Spent over that. Okay. Let's look at Trump. These are the fundraising totals. Okay. Donald J. Trump for president 2024. Raised $463 million. Spent $448 million, almost $449 million. All right. I want to look into these PACs and see where the money's coming from and who is doing all of this. Who's shelling this money up? Where do these PACs get their money? I'm going to do the same for Kamala. I'm going to do the very fucking same. Okay? Got himself a bunch of money. All right. Donald J. Trump for president 2024. Committee. There's the PAC profile from Open Secrets. Never Surrender, Inc. It's a 501c3 tax-exempt charitable organization. It's from Arlington, Virginia. Official PAC name, Never Surrender, Inc. Okay. I want names, buddy. So these are all of their filings to the FEC. Bradley Crate. It's the only name I'm getting off of this right now, so let's look into this. Red Curve Solutions. That's who this Bradley Crate guy is tied to. Curve Solutions. I choose red to stay in the black. Okay, accounting. Political organizations are very different than for-profit businesses. As such, campaign finance accounting is very different than traditional CPA-style accounting. Red Curve Solutions employs the best practices from private sector to comport with the unique accounting requirements of the federal election to comply with. Anyway, and its stated regulatory equivalent. Hiring a CPA for your political campaign might not be the best use of your organization's dollars. Oh, this is a fucking sales pitch. Okay, I get it. Contribution processing. As the world changes and new technologies develop, receipt data comes in many forms and many sources. Receipts take the form of cash checks, credit cards, and bitcoins. Okay, compliance. Okay, so this trusted partner in compliance solutions for political campaigns, PACs, state parties, 501c4s, not C3s, nonprofits, much more. With a comprehensive range of services, we ensure that your organization maintains the highest standards of transparency, accountability, and compliance in the ever-evolving landscape of political fundraising and advocacy. Okay, so from what I see here, this guy, Bradley Crate, runs this like political campaign financing company, and that's the guy who was in charge of the money when it came to Never Surrender or Donald Trump for President 2024. Okay. Make America Great Again, Inc. PAC profile. Spent more money than they raised. Okay. Charles Gant. Also works for Red Curve Solutions. Okay. So Red Curve Solutions. So far, there are people from Red Curve Solutions that worked the two top contributors to Donald Trump's campaign. American PAC from Texas. Is it American PAC? America PAC. Chris Young. Ugh. This guy's pharma. Chris Young is reportedly a senior advisor at the CFPB, an agency Elon Musk has repeatedly sought to undermine and eliminate. According to Wired and Bloomberg, Young was part of the initial cohort of Doge representatives given full access to the CFPB's data systems, including sensitive records regarding bank examinations and enforcement actions. Musk hired Young in August 2024 to help guide Musk's political spending and oversee Musk's pro-Trump Political Action Committee, America PAC. So that was Elon Musk's PAC, was America PAC. Okay. So this guy from Big Pharma worked with Elon Musk and America PAC. I didn't know that was Elon Musk's Political Action Committee. I mean, they raised a fuckload of money, dude. $263 million. Shit. It's a lot of fucking money. Alright. So, these two, Red Curve Solutions. This, Elon Musk, headed up by somebody who is at least corporately affiliated with Big Pharma. Preserve America PAC. Lisa Lisker. That's the name. Okay. Political, financial consulting, and compliance consulting. What is Huckabee Davis and Lisker? Seems like that's probably what they're... So they... when was this? 2021? Okay, I don't know exactly who she's tied to or what this is in reference to, but she's had at least some ethical complaints when it comes to knowingly accepting contributions in the name of another, right? I need to see Huckabee Davis Lisker Incorporated. Let's look that up. All right, Huckabee Davis Lisker Inc. Okay, FEC compliance. Oh man, you gotta laugh at that, right? You gotta laugh at that. Okay, that's Lisa Lisker right here. All right, it's the leading FEC compliance firm, and her fucking name is on it, and she has violations, or she has at least ethical complaints on violations for the FEC. It's just fucking, you can't make this shit up. All right. Okay, so they're real tied in with the Republican Party. That's cool. I get it. I think it's a little dumb that like they're compliance consultants. That's what it was saying before, and she has violations on her record. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of fucking crazy. Anyway, all right. What else is there? Preserve America PAC. That's Lisa Lisker. She's the one that was in charge of that. So Donald J. Trump for president and Make America Great Again. Both of those are affiliated with Red Curve Solutions. America PAC from Texas, that's Elon Musk's PAC, and the guy that was heading that up is Big Pharma. Preserve America PAC is Lisa Lisker, who's a FEC compliance consultant and essentially like an election consultant as well. Save America PAC. We can go. Bradley Crate. Okay, so another Red Curve Solutions. Right for America. Leandro Rizzuto. This guy. Wait, what? Was it Junior? Did I miss that? There's no way he was a treasurer for 2024 because he died in 2017. So it must have been his son. Yes, it was his son. Con Air. longtime Trump supporter and donor, Rizzuto Jr. was nominated to be the ambassador of Barbados in Trump's first administration, but his nomination was opposed on a bipartisan basis due to his conspiracy-filled tweets alleging that, among others, Ted Cruz's wife had conspired to end the United States by forming a superstate with Mexico and Canada. Rizzuto Jr. also called Hillary Clinton a terrorist with amnesia and Mitt Romney a dumbass. I mean, those last two, I don't disagree with it. All right, so Conair, that's the fucking beauty products, right? Like, Boca Raton. Yeah, Conair. Yeah, okay, beauty products, right? Okay, so this Right for America was funded by essentially, or was headed up by Rizzuto, billionaire son of the guy that started Conair. Okay, so Red Curve Solutions, Musk and Big Pharma, Lisker, the lady from the compliance consultants that has a fucking FEC violation on her record. Save America, that's more Red Curve Solutions. Right for America is beauty products. Turnout for America. Is my stream still going? Yes, it is. Okay. Cool. All right. So I'm supposed to get a lot more internet than I have right now. I don't know what's going on. Yana Rutland. Is that Bama? No, that's Virginia. have a faceless name with this one, it seems like. She also was the treasurer for Winning for Women Incorporated PAC. Put a lot of money towards Republicans. Didn't put that much in this last election through this, but she was also responsible for $45 million in fundraising, $34 million in fund and campaign spending. Duty to America. Okay, so this is Yana Rutland, kind of a faceless name to this. Winning for Women, though, was the name of the other PAC that she's headed up. So more of like a kind of female rights activist kind of thing she's going down with that. Okay. Duty to America PAC. Don't know why that one was so tough to get some answers on. Okay, this one don't have a name to it. Who's the donors? Okay, so Building America's Future funded this entirely. Yeah, okay. So they donated 23.6 million to Duty to America. So that's Building America's Future. That's where that money went. Future Coalition, Stand for Us PAC. What's up, Charlie? You alright? If you hear some snorts, that's just Charlie. He's laying here with me. Yes, sir. Okay. RBG PAC. Ruth Bader Ginsburg PAC? Is that what that? There's no way. There's no fucking way. Okay, so it received a single contribution of $20 million. So that was that was Elon Musk. Okay, so that's Musk, right? So far we have Red Curve Solutions, Elon Musk and Big Pharma, Lisker, the finance or the FEC compliance consultant, Save America, which is Red Curve Solutions, Right for America, which was Con Air, Turnout for America, which was Turnout for America was the women's Women for Winning advocate. Duty to America, which was Building America's Future. RBG, Elon Musk, right? And then Make America Great Again PAC. Not Inc. PAC. Leslie Caldwell. Former U.S. Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division. What's up, Bubba? You okay? You alright, my good boy? It's not showing any data from 2024. But Leslie Caldwell, she was a former Attorney General, right? That's everything with at least the biggest contributors to Donald Trump's campaign in this past race. All right, Kamala. Let's go through this now. I'm not even really worried about these smaller ones for real. I'm not. The Lincoln Project. Get fucked. See, right before the election, this was the biggest, listed as the biggest contributor to her campaign. Now we know Harris for president's the biggest contributor. Oh, okay. So Future Forward USA contributed over $250 million to Kamala Harris for president. So did Asana. Let's see. Asana Inc. is an American software company based in San Francisco, shocker, whose flagship Asana service is a web and mobile work management platform designed to help teams organize, track, and manage their work. Asana Inc. was founded in 2008 by Dustin Moskovitz and Justin Rosenstein. Okay, so she had big tech help. No, not Dustin, Justin. Justin Moskovitz. So wait, are Justin Moskovitz and Dustin Moskovitz brothers? Oh, sorry, Justin Rosenstein and Dustin Moskovitz. Okay. Okay. Ah, Vanguard, BlackRock, Okay. So Vanguard and BlackRock and Voya have a major stake in one of the largest contributors of Harris for president. So one of the founders of Facebook, who is the primary owner of Asana, Justin Rosenstein. So this is the guy who is credited with the creation of the like button. Was he part of Facebook? From his page, I'm the founder of Somewhere Good, a new black owned social platform. We're a team of black, Latinx, and queer folks building an online world. Oh, this, of course. Yeah, that totally makes sense, right? So he's just a fucking big tech bro who co-owns this company that was the one of the largest contributors to Harris for president. Got it. That's Asana. Say less. American Bridge 21st Century. It's AB PAC. A liberal American super PAC and opposition research group that supports Democratic candidates and opposes Republican candidates. Kamala Harris donated $650 to them. I wonder what the point of that was for. You know, these people, they don't go into their phone and go, I want to contribute some money. Here's $650. There's some reciprocity for these things. Okay? Yeah, it's illegal for a quid pro quo or whatever. Contributions can't be whatever. Yada yada yada. There's some form of reciprocity. Okay. Bloomberg. Don't need to look into that. The organ the organizations themselves cannot donate. The money came from individuals or PACs affiliated with the organizations. So, so what the fuck does that mean? I mean, like, are you saying like all they had to do was just give the money to somebody else to donate? That's why, like with Bernie Sanders and his whole thing, where, well, my big pharma money came from, uh, you know, individuals, workers. It didn't come from actual big pharma. But it's like, yeah, but we understand what that means. Like, people aren't dumb. Big Pharma gave the money to these people to invest. It was fucking like $2 million or something that he got from Big Pharma. Like, people in the pharmaceutical industry are out for one thing: money. That's it. They're not in it for anything else. So if they're going to pay money into a campaign, there is some reciprocity they're getting back from it. Campaign contributions are just investments. That's all they are. Fucking Bloomberg, man. That's an umbrella. Okay, so we kind of looked into Kamala Harris for president, right? We see Greylock Partners, the Laborers Union, the League of Conservation Voters. What does that even mean? Evidence for Impact, Democracy PAC, right? Here's the interesting one. Oh, wrong one. Future Forward USA. This alone, over 20% more, about 20% more, 25% more than Donald Trump's entire campaign raised. Treasurer for this was Chauncey McLean. I need more data on this guy. Okay, so he helped Obama win. So he worked on both of Obama's presidential campaigns. Analytics Media Group. Okay. So they just ran analytics on media. All right. isn't that cool? Okay. In 2022, Future Forward USA Action's largest institutional donor was George Soros's Open Society Foundations, which donated $15.2 million. Isn't that funny? George Soros massively funding the Kamala Harris campaign. Future Forward USA Action's second largest donor was BEMC4 Association, which contributed $7.2 million. This is in 2022. This is not the 2024 election. The association is run by James McClave and Emily Berger, a husband and wife who work at Jane Street, a Wall Street investment firm. So, Wall Street donated over $1 billion to Kamala Harris's campaign. Wonder why that is. The same Wall Street that fucked us. The same Wall Street that would happily let drug companies jack the prices up and lower the quality on medications to pad their own pockets. They donated over $1 billion fucking dollars to Kamala Harris's campaign, who's pushing for Medicare for all. Or who did at one point, right? To maintain the flow of tax dollars into a system where the risks are mitigated, all investments are safe, thanks to the taxpayer. They can create, through legislation, their own supply and demand, and their own policies limit competition. Which raises profits, which raises stock value. Well, that's all I really needed to see. Yeah, so that's going to be it for the stream today. I don't really have much else to go through. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? And it totally makes sense. It makes sense that these massive Wall Street firms donated 3 times as much as Donald Trump got into his presidency, because they are totally cool with the American people being forced to pay not only for these drugs to be developed and to mitigate all risk on these pharmaceutical companies, but who push for, and we even saw that yesterday, who push for the institution of a single payer system, which would be people being forced to pay the nut on whatever these big pharmaceutical companies want to charge on these medications, where they set the price. All their investments are safe. They have periods of market exclusivity where nothing else can compete with them, so they can jack their prices up. And as the data has shown, the higher the prices go, the less effective these medicines are. That's the trend that everything takes. So by doing this, what was this investment? What was going to happen during Kamala Harris's presidency that gave them the motivation to donate over $1 billion? that's all I got for today, guys. We'll go through another deep dive tomorrow. Maybe I'll do some gaming or something tomorrow. I'm getting kind of black pilled doing these. I'm not gonna lie, but no, it's definitely this is fun. This is the kind of crazy shit that I like to do when work's slow, because work is slow right now. So like and sub. I appreciate any input, any constructive criticism. You know, anything anybody wants to say on how I could make these better, more fun, or more interesting, just let me know. All right, thanks, guys. Technical issues. Hold on.